Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today on early completion schedules, benefits, risks, and defenses. My name is Jim Zach. I'm the principal of James Zach Consulting. By way of introduction, almost all contractors are typically required to prepare and submit their own construction schedule. We all know time is money in the construction industry, and money in construction is quite tight. Let's look at the right to plan early completion. Virtually all contracts have a contractual completion date. Bottom line is that contractors, they're free to control their own means and methods. Generally speaking, in my experience, owners and contractors benefit from early completion. What is an early completion schedule? Well, there's two forms. One is an as-planned schedule showing a plan and intent to complete the work earlier than required. The as-planned or the baseline schedule. This is the one that the first schedule they submit to the owner at the beginning of the job. Flip side of that, or schedule updates that show completing early. When contractors bid early completion, overhead costs are certainly reduced, both the field office overhead and the home office. On the flip side to that coin is, the owner has the benefit of the bargain because they've gotten a reduced bid cost. This designer came up with a design on the late completion date on every design package. Some early completion schedules, folks, actually are owner caused. If the owner has no pre-bid scheduling performed, the contract time may be unrealistic. That is, it may be too long. Let's take a quick look at how early completion schedules are constructed. How do you get an early completion? They can understate or schedule owner design activities in the most optimistic fashion. Delivery of OFCI. They can ignore or fail to include schedule or logic constraints imposed by the contract. And then if the schedule is simply approved without the constraints, argue, well, you waived that when you approved the baseline schedule. They may incorporate logic ties that artificially move the start or completion of selected activities to shorten the overall duration. Does the contractor have a legal right to complete the work early? And when we prepared the white paper that I referred to earlier, the earliest case we could find, recorded case that we could find, was U.S. v. Blair. It's a 1944 decision. This is a Veterans Administration contract for a project. Next case we found, now this is a California case. This is Maurice Vine v. Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. This is 1958. The city failed to provide full site access to the contract. Now, go back to the feds, 1963. Metropolitan Payton, a federal case that firmly established contractors' right to complete early and recover delay damages if the early completion is delayed by the owner. Metropolitan contracted with the government to perform airfield paving on an Air Force base in Roswell, New Mexico. Now, Metropolitan did not recover the damages. They lost it on other grounds. It's the first time, in my opinion anyway, that any court actually dealt with the issue of whether the government hired a contractor for 300 days. Contractor's right to complete work early and recover damages if that's early completion is delayed by the owner is firmly established. Recovery of damages, they're not recoverable when early completion is delayed, even if the contractor completes the work on time or even if they complete the work early, provided that the early completion schedule is reasonable, feasible, and achievable. Now, a more recent case, Interstate General Government Contractors v. West, this is a Corps of Engineer case decided in 1993. This court established a three-part test concerning proof of an early completion claim. Now, following Interstate General in 1993, the court added this qualifier, however. The record, however, must contain concrete evidence of the contractor's intent, such as a bid, an estimate, or any other contemporaneous document. This raises the question, should a contractor advise an owner of their plan to complete the work early, or should you keep this as a secret and run the job off a ghost schedule showing early? My opinion, as a claims consultant, yes, you should tell the owner. The contractor planning to finish the work early needs cooperation from the owner. Strand Hunt, 2013. Strand Hunt proposed to construct a facility in Alaska. Strand Hunt sought damages from late September of 2005 to February of 2006. Gilchrist completed the project 130 days early and received an early completion bonus. The project actually completed early because the contractor changed work sequences and accelerated their performance. The contractor's right to complete early, so the trial court ruled in favor of Gilchrist. The appellate court upheld the idle and stockpile material cost. It's interesting to note that even though no early completion schedule was ever prepared, yet delayed damages against the early completion date were actually awarded. What's the benefit to contractors? Well, early completion allows the contractor to move on to other projects. Now, let's look at the benefits to the owner. Well, lower project costs. So there are risks. Let's look at the risk of early completion schedules to the contractor. What's a shorter performance period? Potential delays to accepted or approved early completion schedules may disrupt your organizational planning. Contractor advantages with claims-oriented early completion schedule. Using early completion schedules, contractors may be able to claim early completion delay and seek delayed damages. Contend that the owner actions are what prevented the early completion. Owner risks when in accepting or rejecting early completion schedule. If the early completion schedule is based on flaws or games that's accepted or approved, there's a potential owner liability for delayed early completion. They must be put in place during design. They must be incorporated into the bidding document. Pre-bid construction scheduling. Many early completion schedules, as I talked to you earlier, are caused by unrealistic time of performance. The contract duration is plain and simply too darn long. Well thought out pre-bid schedule should provide a realistic time of completion, which is a lot better than a guess. You can exclude early completion schedules. In some cases, the owner may not benefit from an early completion schedule due to early completion method. If you use language like this, well, the benefits to the contractor, he can still get the early completion schedule. In the alternative, you may specify in the contract this language. This is a major East Coast city. You can use interim milestone dates. Owners and designers should consider using interim milestone dates. Contractual constraints sequencing may be necessary if you're rehabilitating a project that must remain fully operational during reconstruction. Contracts specify submittal response time. Contracts frequently fail to specify submittal time. Language out of the old AIA clause. Specify submittal response times. In the specification, you have 30 calendar days or 20 work days, and then require that all submittals and submittal response times be included in the baseline schedule. OFCI, specify OFCI availability dates. As I mentioned earlier, this is owner, furnished, contractor, installed. The third thing is joint ownership of float. And in my experience, you can include a non-sequestering of float. Bottom line is allows the owner to reject the schedule submittals where the contractor has. You can have a limited form of no damages for delay clause. Clause must be properly worded so bidders do not read this as owner-owned float. If contracts include as owner-owned float, you may start seeing commissioning time. Owners generally require contractors to commission constructed facilities, but they rarely specify the time for commission. Involve your operating staff to estimate the duration for commissioning. Include the anticipated commissioning time in the planned contract time of performance. Change time of performance. Include the clause in the scheduling spec. It avoids the arguments that the owner delayed the early completion. If you receive an early completion date, analyze it for completeness, reasonableness, achievability, feasibility, whatever you want to call it. Employ qualified planning and scheduling staff on your side. To win a claim, you got to have better contemporaneous documentation. It's as simple as that. So train the staff, which leads into the last point here, staff training. Owners invest in staff training. They must be competent in the aspects of project management, be knowledgeable and alert. Conclusion, not all early completion schedules are, in fact, claims traps. Refusal to accept early completion schedules puts the owners at risk for ghost schedules and delayed early completion. Pre-bid scheduling and planning, including appropriate contract defenses, are necessary. Early completion schedules remain an option for contractors, and disputes are going to continue.
Thank you, Jack. And so that does conclude the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.